For the last 2 years, I've been working my way down the song line. I don't have to tell you, every community has a different part, so I've had to learn it piece by piece. Every sacred site, every ceremony, every word.
You want my song?
It's the last one.
My song is Bring the Rain, not stopping.
Well, that's all subject to interpretation.
You want to stop the flood? Start there. Can you see the problem?
Yeah, your swamp cooler's leaking like a motherfucker.
Can you fix it?
Ah, shit.
Oh, shit. Remember, we've got a deal.
Oh. Oh.
I rolled the other way. You saw me, right? I tried to miss you. Chris, can you hear me?
Settle down.
I'm just concerned that when we get to the hospital, they're gonna separate us, and Chris promised he'd teach me something, didn't you, Chris? Chris, nod if you can hear me. Otherwise, they're not gonna believe me.
Sit! Sit!
Oh, shit.
Friend, I am acting in your best interest. You are looking at an initiated Yanjaro. Show a little respect for your fucking elder.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I lost it. Oh.
Oh, Kevin.
Fuck me! Fuck!
This is where we need Patty. We need Ghost Patty to sort this out.
Hey! Man, what are you doing? Whoa. Slow down.
Oh,
Let's just talk for a sec.
Would you kill a baby if it would cure cancer?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
That is exactly what I said.
Wait!
Oh, Kevin, fucking run! Apparently it's not a terrible way to go because your nerves are destroyed really quickly, so you don't feel much after the first bit. But either way, I don't want to. Who wants to be set on fire?
You can't stop me, asshole!
Oh. He's got water now. No! Why do I ever make the mistake of hoping in this program? Every time I think something's a good thing, it's a bad thing. Well, shit. He's lost the boot. He's not going to last long. No. Away from the snake. We saw what happened to the cave woman.
So,
What the cave woman did. That is exactly what the cave woman did. Season 2, episode 1.
Come on.
God damn it. Is there a church, or is it just a cross? Because if it's just a cross, we're still technically fucked. It's almost like a reflection of the cross then. That looked like a person on a horse. Is it one of the horsewomen? Ooh. No, 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 no.
Doctor! Oh! Oh!
Do you know what time it is here?
I don't care what time it is. What day is it?
What?
What day is it? How long since we last talked?
That was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
I'm actually glad you called. Could you send the photocopy of the book back to me? I gave the original.
No, I threw it away.
What?
Doesn't matter. Look, I need you to call the Carippa Hospital. I'm gonna need your help in getting to this
I don't
hospital.
think you're gonna get it.
Yeah?
Go fuck yourself.
That was pretty definitive. Maybe an arc.
For the flood. Anybody here know Christopher Sunday?
You the fella that landed on him?
Viper.
He's dead.
It's one way of stopping the rain. Crushing to death the man who is the only man in the world who knows how to sing the song that brings the rain. God, this guy takes some freaking liberties, mind, doesn't he? What a fucking liberty! That's, what's her name? Grace? She's one of the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse. She's the one who... Adoption, okay. They're dunking Kevin! They're dunking the other chief!
What are you ladies up to? Come on.
Oh! Are they going to find out his name is Kevin and then they're going to try
How's
and
your
drown
arm?
him?
Okay.
I just killed a man. The other ladies you saw, they had nothing to do with it. I'm hoping you'll consider leaving them out of whatever you tell the police.
He's not going to tell anyone anything.
The registered girl vanished right in front of me. She was holding that box of Weet-Bix. Took it with her.
What?
I knew what it was the moment it happened. The rapture. I finally made it home the next night. I already knew the chapel would be empty before I set foot inside.
What?
They're Bibles. I felt so blessed. Because God showed me. He gave me confirmation that my family now sat by his side. Then I received a phone call. Remains had been found on my property. The remains of 5 children. just bones. They had no way of knowing if I was ever coming home or if I had simply vanished like their father had. So they set out on foot across the flats, alone.
That's horrible. And they were right there.
I never even considered searching for them. I took the cross from the chapel and brought it out there to mark the place where they died. The place where I found you. This was in your hand. It tells of a man, a police chief named Kevin, who drowned and passed into the land of the dead and spoke to them, who freed them from their pain and rose again. Just 20 kilometers from here, there's a police chief named Kevin. What are the chances of that? It had to be him. So I went to him, to Kevin, and I asked for his help. And when he refused, I drowned him because I thought he was testing me. Because I thought he'd come back. And once I'd proved my faith, he would have no choice but to help me talk to my children one last time.
Oh, God, what a...
But you're not an angel. It's just a stupid, silly story. And I believed it because I've gone a bit crazy, haven't I?
No, Grace. I don't think you're crazy at all. You just got the wrong Kevin.
Wow. What an episode. That was great. That was really different. It felt like a million miles away from everything that we've been dealing with kind of back in Miracle and beyond that. It's so frustrating watching Kevin Garvey Sr. like just rolling from one disaster to the next. Oh, landing on his feet every time, unless of course he lands on Christopher Sunday. I thought the actor playing Christopher Sunday was incredible. Like, he barely had any dialogue at all, but he's quite a scene stealer. I was really struck in this episode. I hadn't really thought before that, like, obviously they're both actors, so they're not actually father and son, but kind of, I thought it was strange casting. The guy who plays Kevin's dad, he doesn't seem, I couldn't see much of Kevin in him, and in this episode, I don't know if it was the way they were shooting him, like they were maybe positioning the shots in a similar way to the way that we see Kevin shot, so there's a kind of familiarity, but like it really felt like we were watching our Kevin at certain points. And I think that was a great they did that visually, they did that with the cinematography, which was fantastic. We had, so Papa Garvey believes that he's going to sing a song of the Aboriginal people. So this song line thing is that each of the communities, the Aboriginal communities, the Indigenous communities, so each of the Indigenous communities along that song line, they have like a piece of the song, they have like a bit of the song, or a song. But when you put it all together, you can, so the idea is no one can perform it on their own unless they all come together. And Papa Garvey has gone and got all of these songs, which is technically theft in Australia, apparently. And he now, I understand the reason for that, by the way, the preservation of their culture. And he goes to Christopher Sunday to get the last song. The song is called Bring the Rain. And Christopher Sunday is the only man alive who knows the song to Bring the Rain. And Garvey crushed him to death by accident by falling off the roof on top of him. Is that him technically stopping the rain? Fantastic. I really like that. I like the comedy in this episode. I really like slapstick comedy. I like comedy of errors, kind of the men who stare at goats, the Grand Budapest Hotel. I was getting a lot of that in this episode, of where the shot itself was funny. People didn't even need to do anything in it, just the setup. I also like the fact that he was bitten. That snake scene was, again, took us back to the beginning of season 2, the first episode, where we had the cave woman who'd, she ended up dying, but same snake scene, it was fantastic. And he ends up, prostrate on the ground, almost creating his own cross with his little what are they called, crutches? So he's led down with his crutches almost in the shadow of the cross, and Grace Playford finds him. Grace Playford, who is on a mission to find Kevin. So she gets I've just got it. So she only murdered the policeman because she found Kevin led there with the bit of the story. So the only reason that cop is dead is because of that whole sequence of events, including the snake. So we have that incredible conversation at the end between the two of them. I don't know who the woman is playing Grace Playford, but I thought she was phenomenal in that whole section. I was just believing her entire story, and what a story. So it was like each time that she honoured her faith, appalling things happened. If she wouldn't have interpreted events in a religious way when she came home and her children weren't there, they may still be alive. And again, if she wouldn't have interpreted it as religious when she found the letter on Kevin Sr., the cop would still be alive. So she's like, maybe I need to reassess the way I'm interpreting the world, because people keep ending up dead because of my misdirected moments of faith. But we know that actually the guy she's talking to is, he's our Kevin. He thinks he's the real deal. I think he thinks he's the prophet, and little Kevin isn't. And I mean, I think we're pretty sure by now that they're both pretty crazy. But there is also a supernatural element. There is a supernatural interpretation about all the events we've seen. Because I was thinking about it the other day, and I thought, I keep thinking rationally Kevin must be crazy, because he couldn't have literally gone to an afterlife, which is the hotel, and did battle with an evil spirit, right? But we don't know. And Patty did disappear. But it's kind of like, coincidence versus, I know it's another Lost reference. Don't mistake coincidence for fate.
What are the odds?
Don't mistake coincidence for fate.
Because even though two things, we may experience two things happening in a sequential way, you know, coincidence does not equal causality. You know, it doesn't mean that that caused the thing. So, you know, he could have stopped seeing Patty for any number of reasons. But the most enjoyable reason is certainly the supernatural one. You know, that's way more romantic. But is it true? And I don't mean is it true in the world, it's not true in the world, but is it... I'm eager to find out if we ever... I think they'll leave it open a bit like Lost, where you never really know. And it's about the way, you know, you watch the show. You don't watch the show from outside of yourself. You're still watching the show from inside all of your own convictions, all of your own beliefs, your faith or your lack of faith. So I would be really interested. It would be so fascinating to have, like, if you had a group of people that had watched this, that all had quite profoundly different belief systems, you know, atheist, Muslim, Christian, you know, whatever, aside, you know, but a group of different people who had different worldviews, and you know, how do they interpret the things that we see in it differently? That would be really interesting. Yeah, I really like this episode. I'm really keen to see where this goes. You know, and obviously Kevin is on his way to Australia now, so, you know, if that's happening on a similar timeline, then this is going to come together. Brilliant. That was great. Thank you for coming and watching another episode of The Leftovers with me. I love that so many of you have kind of made it in and are enjoying, you know, this journey that I'm going on, and you're making it better. Like, you're making it even better by being there and by sharing, so thank you. And until the next time, bye bye.